So on May 23rd, AFET asked me to be one of the panelists on their discussion called Brand for You. You in caps, that's what I'm saying, it's a strong you. And there were roughly 10 questions, but because the discussion was so engaging, we did not get a chance to go through all of them. So this is me answering it from my perspective, which I think is pretty unique given the fact that AFET is the Association of Female Executives of Trinidad and Tobago, and I was the only man on that panel, and I think my perspective is a unique one given the fact that I'm a man. So I want to go through some of the questions, say out what the question is, and then give my answer, my perspective. Feel free to share your perspectives on it in the comments. So number one, personal branding. What does personal branding mean to you, and why is it crucial for female professionals and entrepreneurs? So my thing is, your personal brand is incredibly critical in today's world. So the thing that I wanted to say initially, and I said it later on, was I think personal brand is something that every single person should learn now, not later, not next year, not 2025, 2026. You should learn it right now, because I think it's the most important thing to set yourself apart. Whether you're a professional or an entrepreneur, it does not matter. I think it plays such a huge factor in today's economy and the fact that we all have our digital devices, that having that personal brand goes an extremely long way. So I would say it is critical. It is a top priority that you should get done learning the basics and the essentials, because it will help you with your voice when you're speaking. It goes a long way. The next one now, which I partially answered, was the authenticity in branding. How can women ensure that their personal brand reflects their authentic selves while still appealing to your target audience? So my thing is, if you are being 100% authentic, it would naturally appeal to your target audience. If you have to pretend to be someone else in order for your audience or for you want to work with or pay you for your services isn't authentically you, then you're not really going to have the best authenticity in branding. And I think this question is probably the most important one, because I think, and I believe more than ever now, people could smell BS when somebody's brand isn't true. So how I looked at it was this. I laugh when people see me in yellow all the time. When people say, hey, I always see Anya in yellow, and I'm thinking, this is literally just me. I am like this 24/7, 365, because this is me. And the thing about the branding and how the authenticity develops is through consistency. So if you have decided to work on a personal brand, are you showing up like this every single day? That's the question I would ask you. Is it that every day when you wake up, or if somebody looks at you at 3 o'clock in the morning or talks to you 3 o'clock in the morning, they could get an essence of your brand? And if not, then you really are not truly authentic. So it's really about being you. And more importantly, not caring about the opinions of others. Right? Next is creating content. What types of content resonate best? What types of content resonate best with audiences when it comes to personal branding? And how can we consistently create valuable content that aligns with our brand message? So my thing is, let's answer, it's 2 questions. So let's answer the first part. What types of content resonate best with audiences when it comes to personal branding? So if I look at it that way, the types of content that resonates best with your audience, of course, I would tell you it's video. If you could authentically put yourself out there in video, video is the fastest way to build trust and authority with strangers. It's one of the best ways to build a personal brand, and it is unmatched. Pictures cannot do it. Pictures no longer paint 1,000 words. Video does. That's how I'll answer that first part for you. The second one is, and how can we consistently create valuable content that aligns with our brand message? So my thing is, if I know what my brand is and what I would like my brand to do, then the last thing you need to think about is the buyer, the person who buys the brand. And I think if you ask them what they're looking for, when they see somebody who represents a personal brand that represents the values that they hold close to themselves, then you'll be able to understand what type of content you need to create in order to get that message effectively across. So that'll be my simple answer to that. The next one is building a narrative. How important is storytelling in personal brand? How can we craft compelling narratives to communicate our brand message effectively? Now, I would say that I'm not good at answering this, because yes, I may tell stories because I do that through the content, but I don't know. I think I'm not really that good at communicating. I don't know, maybe because sometimes my grammar is bad, but here's how I would look at this, right? I think, and it will go back to the overall underlying thing, which is authenticity or being authentic. I think if your message is authentic and true and it's not made up stories, it would be a compelling narrative. It could be anything about the different journeys and experiences that you're having along the path as an entrepreneur or as a professional. I think once the authenticity is the foundation of where you're starting those stories, it's going to be effective with your audience and it is going to communicate the brand message really, really effectively, right? And sometimes you even need to go into that full storytelling. So like, I'll give you an example. One of my favorite people who creates content on fashion is Chantal Rush, CLR Code. And she does storytelling, but through her fashion. And it might sound simple, but she just tells like where she got the pieces and stuff from. And to me, that's like storytelling because people want to know where did you get your amazing clothes from? So I think she does a great job of that. So to me, I think once it's authentic, once it showcases you, it always appeals to the values that your audience has and matches your personal brand. Question number 5, which was directed for me, was one of the key things of your social media presence. So the question was, in what ways can platforms like LinkedIn and other social media channels be utilized effectively to enhance one's personal brand? And that's why I showcase my t-shirt, which is what I told them. Content is the differentiator. That's all I really care about. If you really want to understand like how platforms can be utilized effectively, you honestly need to commit to creating content for 90 days that will go out on those platforms so that you can test and see which one has the biggest impact. And I'll tell you for now, you can look at views as the initial outreach and then probably check like DMs and views and likes in terms of what might be the top priority. But I think the real answer behind this is how committed are you to showing up on those platforms in order to determine which channel is the most effective one for you to utilize. So that there's a trick question because the only way to know is to create content and they can't create one. That's why I recommend 90 days of content. Because by the way, fun fact, I believe that you should focus on creating content before creating a personal brand. Because if you create a personal brand, but you're not networking or getting out there, putting out content, nobody's going to know it. And social media is the fastest way to do it. But instead of focusing on creating your brand, and I put this in a video before, you should be focusing on creating content for the next 90 days about the expertise, about the things that you do. Along the way of that journey of creating 90 pieces of content, I guarantee you would find and understand what your personal brand is. More importantly, you'll build the muscle of content creation to be able to express your personal brand a lot more effectively. So the first 1 to 15 pieces of content may genuinely be awful, but I guarantee you from 75 to 90 will be pretty awesome. Yep, there's going to be a lull period between 16 to 74 videos where it's just like bland, but that's just you finding the rhythm and finding the voice for everything. So you have to decide, am I willing to go through it or not for the sake of my brand? Because 90 days is minuscule compared to the lifetime that a personal brand can give you. Right? Next question was networking and relationship building. How can women use networking and relationship building strategies to expand our brand reach and attract opportunities? I think, especially now in Trinidad, I've seen it, networking is incredibly powerful. And I spoke about this in a post recently. So my thing is, if you're building your personal brand, this is where your physical visibility comes into play. If you're building your personal brand and you want people to see it, then you need to ensure that you're out in the places where the networking brings you the most. I was speaking to HR consultant the other day, and both of us were laughing because we do the same thing, which is our coffee circuit. There are certain coffee stores that we visit on a weekly basis because it generates business for us. So my thing is, the networking and the relationship building is incredibly important. And if you're building invisible, if you're building your personal brand, having that visibility with your ideal buyers is going to be incredibly impactful for you. So getting out there is something incredibly important. So you have to decide, where is that going to be? Where are the locations based on where my audience is, where my buyers are, that I'm going to show up so that I can have either those one-on-one interactions with them, or as I say, just sparks the discussion to learn more about what I do because they'd have seen it on the digital visibility side with my personal brand, which is the social media. And I'll put reference to the video that I'm talking about below in this link as well. Right. Next question was selling and marketing services. This is directed to me, and I had to do. I'm doing a separate post on this entirely, so this is the shortened version, because I've gotten this question a lot from women, which is, what are some of the effective strategies for women to market and sell our services without feeling overly promotional or salesy? And I want to stress on that last word, salesy, because that's what I keep hearing from people. So here's the honest truth. If you have a business, you need to sell. You created the business because there is an ideal audience. You created it with somebody in mind. So in order for that person to buy, you need to have the conversation. So what I want you to think of is that you're not really selling a person. What you're really trying to do is have a discussion to determine if the desired outcome that they have is what your product or service is designed to do. Think about it that way. You're just having a discussion. You're not asking them for the business or anything. And I think if you have the right discussion with someone and you lead them along the path to the answers, they will come to the conclusion that, yo, so you do that, right? Yeah. Well, how can I buy your product and service? And that's how you get the actual sales. The other aspect of this now is if you're actually, again, and I was stressing this because that's how my business is done, you could actually just create content. And I'll go to even simpler to say, if you have a product, you don't technically need to sell the product. You could just run Facebook ads and stuff and have it. If it is that you're so against selling, what I'd recommend for you to do is actually get somebody who can be the face of your brand, pay them an influencer fee, and have them do the ads and talking if you don't want to be the face and you just want to run the background operations. So therefore, they could do the selling for you that you don't like. Right? Question number 8, overcoming challenges. What are some of the common challenges women face when it comes to building and promoting our personal brand, and how can we overcome them? My biggest challenge I think women face when building their personal brand comes with their own insecurity. It comes to their own thoughts of people will judge them. And I don't think that will happen. I think the judgment just literally comes from themselves. Now, yes, there will be haters. There will be people saying, what she feels she is. That's okay. They're not the ones who are going to pay you. The reason why you're creating the brand is to make sure that your audience and people who like your values pay you for your services. So my biggest thing I think women face in this aspect is self-doubt. The other thing that I know they face is the consistency in making sure that they show up all the time with their brand. Right? Those are some of my answers. The adaptability and evolution, right? The only constant is change. Tell us how to adapt and evolve our personal brand over time and give us some strategies to stay relevant in a rapidly changing landscape. So the first thing you have to do is always do a self-audit. And I won't tell you every year. I would honestly say if you want to always adapt and evolve, you need to do a self-audit every quarter. As in the goals that I've established for myself, the target audience that I've established for myself, does this still hold true? Is it still relevant? And am I still getting the intended business or the intended outcomes that I wanted based on the creation of my personal brand? And I think if those things stay true, you would be good. And then I'll give you one of my best examples. If you honestly understand how to adapt, let's look at what Amazon did. Amazon, when they first started, and I hate using cliche companies, but it's a good example. But when Amazon started, they did a survey with their audience and their buyers, more importantly, to find out what else can they do for them. And they were thinking they wanted a wider selection of books. When the survey feedback came, it was about their appliances and other stuff besides books. And that's how Amazon expanded. They listened to their buyers. The buyers still had the same value, which is I love going online and getting an item delivered to me. I just don't only want books, I want more. So you have to be able to understand as your buyers and your audience values evolve, you need to pay attention. And if you could have evolved authentically to that, you have a win-win situation. All right. I'll give you my personal story. Over the years, my brand has evolved. So like people know me for wearing yellow and sometimes I would dress casual. Like one of the things I've done, which has evolved my brand, is that I started wearing African kits to training. So on the days when I'm doing training specifically for clients on LinkedIn and sales, I'm wearing an African kit. So if I'm seen in public, the physical visibility, people know that, hey, Jared is training today. Like that is getting into people's head now because the African kits is a sign that Jared is doing training. Boom, that's a bonus for me because people be like, oh, people hiring them, boy, if you hire, if you do something for my company, you feel left out. So that has been incredibly important for me and I continue to utilize it because I know the impact it's creating. I may have to turn it on. I mean, I'm buying a little too much African kit, but that's besides the point. And then one of the final points that I wanted to talk about, which I love, was measuring the success of your personal brand. So we do all this branding work, and yet sometimes you don't get the feedback on the fruits of our labor. How can we track and measure the effectiveness of our personal branding efforts, and what key metrics should we focus on? So my number one thing you should be focused on is, again, what is the desired outcome you wanted from creating a personal brand? Is it leads to your business or is it opportunities like speaking gigs? how many opportunities did you want? Did you get those opportunities or not? And if you didn't, then the second thing you need to start doing is engaging with your audience. The people who are liking and commenting on your post, you should be in their DMs or in person having conversations to find out, hey, Georgia, can you tell me what resonated about you with this post or this thing that I did? I'm just really trying to expand on what I do as a brand because I think your feedback will help me be more impactful to others. The end feedback is important. So the question here is like, how come we don't get feedback? It's not the audience's responsibility 100% to give you feedback. It's your responsibility in the beginning to get those responses from your audience. And by the way, it goes a long way for you because it helps build a massive community for you because people are seeing you engaging and people appreciate that nowadays, especially when it comes from authentic place and especially when you utilize voice or video like I do in order to build that community. Because it's something I personally do on LinkedIn and it has yielded me tremendous success. So those are some of the points that I wanted to cover in the session. I think I touched on all of them in terms of everything. Those are my perspectives on 10 points. I'll probably pop up different things here so you can see exactly at what stage you're talking about everything, but let me know what really stood out to you in terms of some of the key points. Did these questions help you get a little better understanding of how you should be creating a personal brand? And if you have any additional questions, drop it in the comments. Or if you're listening to this on the blog, drop me the questions. I'll be happy to answer it.